Might and Power led a length and a half to Doremus. Then Linesman. Might and Power the leader. Doremus is coming at him. Doremus after Might and Power. Might and Power and Doremus, they hit it. Oh, it's close. He's hung on. Might and Power's won at number 3. What an absolute thriller.
But Might and Power has become the 10th horse to win the Caulfield and Melbourne Cup double. What a performance. That is one of the great finishes in Melbourne Cup history.
1997 and a Melbourne Cup classic. The might and power of that victory is now folklore. And this week, a new chapter will be written into Cup history. For the contenders, nerves of steel are needed, as their day of reckoning is fast approaching. But first things first. This is Derby Day, the greatest day of racing on the Australian turf calendar. Today, the best thoroughbreds from across Australia and around the world have gathered to compete for Group 1 greatness. The speed in the Salinger, the magic of the McKinnon, and of course, the daring in the Derby.
But Second Coming's got him beat. Second Coming's going to win the Amy Victoria Derby.
Racing's elites have stepped out to parade their stable of champions. Today, everyone will cheer or jeer as emotions run high on the eve of Australia's greatest prize. From pillar to post, this is what horse racing is all about. The colour, the excitement and the passion. And you'll see it all live and exclusive on the home of the Melbourne Cup, Network 10.
Back and the big one is underway. As they come down the straight the first time. He's going up on the outside of 2,000 metres left to travel. It's a fight over the Melbourne Cup.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Flemington for the Melbourne Cup Carnival. For Amy Victoria Derby Day, a day the purists will tell you is the greatest single day of racing on the Australian turf calendar. Already it's been a spring full of drama and emotion, and with the Melbourne Cup just 3 days away, one thing is certain, and that is that we wouldn't want to be anywhere else. We're now just 4.5 hours away from the start of the first of our features, the Amy Victoria Derby, and it begins 27 hours of coverage of this wonderful week, seen throughout Australia on Network 10 and indeed throughout the world, because these pictures will be seen in almost 60 countries and a potential viewing audience of around 500 million people. Well, it takes a lot of our people to bring you this wonderful week, and let's meet some of them now. As we head out to the members' car park, the high rollers are arriving, the chicken and champagne is already in demand, and so too is this lady, no doubt. She'll be keeping an eye on all things social over this wonderful week, the delightful Sandra Sully. Sandra, good morning to you.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is where the glamour gathers at the Network 10 marquee, and I'll be bringing you all the stars as they pop in to say good day and be part of this wonderful carnival. You know, the fun just doesn't start today. It's actually been going on for days. In particular, last night it was the young members' turn of the VRC committee, and they met at the Crown Casino for the annual Derby Eve Ball. In fact, it's such a hot ticket, they had to move venues this year. There were over 1,000 people there, and as you can see, they had a wonderful time. A few bleary-eyed souls arriving this morning, but with a little over an hour to go to the first race. One gentleman who's joining some of the other arrivals is our very own Tim Webster. Good morning, Tim.
Sandra, hi. There's something very special about Melbourne at this time of the year. Flemington is, after all, Australia's international racecourse. And this week, the centre of the racing universe will be right here. And more the world is coming to Melbourne for our carnival, and it's certainly been a talking point for a week or so. Today we'll chat to the owners and trainers of those international horses here to steal our Melbourne Cup, just as Vintage Crop did back in 1993. The crowds will flow in, the bookies will set up, and they'll come from everywhere, right around Victoria, right around Australia, indeed, right around the world these days. And today, as Peter said, is the big news day of racing. You'll see it all here on Network 10. But of course, it's much more than just horse racing. It is springtime, of course, time to break out those new fashions, and heading the fashion stakes for us is Lynn Talbot.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, I'm down amongst the roses, down on the lawn in front of the stand here, which seems to be my regular post. This area becomes somewhat of a fashion catwalk during the carnival. And here we will see all sorts of fashion in every form, from high class to the downright outlandish. We're looking forward to that. I'll be bringing you David Lawrence's Fashion on the Field, talking to some young designers, some emerging, exciting new designers. And I guess the question is the weather going to hold up? Mr. Bailey.
Well, Linny, when the head first came off the pillow this morning, I was a nervous Nelly, as weathermen do when it threatens to rain on big Australian sporting events. But the boffins at the Bureau, well, they had some good news for me. They tell me it's going to be partly cloudy today. There is the chance of an odd sprinkle and around about 17 degrees. Welcome to fabulous Flemington. Have a look at it. You can sense its personality. It is a course of history and it's looking absolutely magnificent. What's my job today? Basically, just to play up, and I'm going to do it with this Bailey cam. We're going to have some fun and games. Basically, this should be illegal. We'll run around the course and give you a really different perspective of the colour and the character of Derby Day. Speaking of characters, well, this next fella is up for long service leave when it comes to Melbourne Cup carnivals. Let's go racing now with Peter Donegan in his 10th year.
Yes, Tim, and what a day it's going to be, what a week it's going to be, as we've all said, and let's take a look at what's unfolding here at Flemington this week. Of course, it all begins with Amy Victoria Derby Day today, and our coverage commencing at 10 o'clock will be going right through until 5 o'clock, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And then Foster's Melbourne Cup Day on Tuesday. The great day of racing, and we already can't wait. Crown Oaks Day on Thursday, Emirates Stakes Day on Saturday. It is the greatest week of racing in Australia, perhaps the world. Here's the program for today. Amy Victoria Derby Day, it all kicks off at 11:25 with the Carbine Club Stakes. The Saab Quality is going to be an interesting race from a Melbourne Cup point of view, the Wakeful from a Crown Oaks point of view, and then of course the Victoria Derby, the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes and the Salinger Stakes, all Group 1 events. We've got 3 Group 1s, 3 Group 2s, 3 Group 3s. We've got a lot to look forward to. And I'm happy to say that joining us again to find all the winners for the carnival is, I was going to say a regular panel, but they're probably anything but regular, these three. Jenny Chapman, Richard Friedman, John Letts. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Pete.
Morning, Pete.
Nice to see you again.
I was 1 minute late.
1 minute late.
You were 1 minute late, and we're going to buy you a watch. Hopefully you are going to have enough to buy a new watch at the end of the day.
I think we can get the punters off on the right leg.
Jen, the
Yeah.
drama, the excitement of the Spring Carnival is always there every year. I think even more so this year when you talk about the controversy about the overseas horses, protests in the Caulfield Cup, Might and Power in the Cox Plate. It's all been there.
Well, it has, and Might and Power, what a fantastic racehorse he's been, and I can't wait for him to get over to Japan and challenge those overseas horses. But talking of the overseas horses, I think it's great having them here in the Melbourne Cup. You know, they come over, the New Zealanders have been coming over and taking our Melbourne Cup for a number of years. Why not the overseas horses and having the best jockeys as well?
Do you agree, Richard? Should we have all these overseas horses? Because we might have 8 in the Melbourne Cup on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm a little in disagreement with that. I don't think we should have so many of the overseas horses. What about the locals who are here week in, week out, Sundays, night meetings, you know, during the midwinter? I think it's great to have the overseas horses here to test ourselves against them, but maybe not so many of them, you know, but it's pretty hard when you brought them all the way down here to start telling trainers, well, you're not qualified, you mightn't get a run. So I think they'll all be in the field. I think that's the best tip so far. They'll all get a run.
Well, of course, John Letts, you rode an overseas bred horse to victory in the Melbourne Cup, Belledale Ball. I suppose when you set foot here at Flemington on Derby Day, you must have those wonderful memories of days gone by coming to you.
Yes, Peter, I like the international horses coming. I do think it makes racing Australia, it makes it worldwide, and this is an international race now. It started actually back in the year, you say, 1980, when Belledale Ball won the race. Robert Sangster was never ever a great push for the Melbourne Cup because it was a 2-mile handicap, which he said, your best races are weight for age. But this is proof. He went back home and said, this is one of the greatest races I've ever won. And this has just gone on, and we've had vintage crop. Now we've got all these overseas horses, but it's going to make our horses more competitive as well. Like, they haven't won it yet. Everybody's talking like they've won the Melbourne Cup. They haven't won it yet. Still got Tuesday afternoon to get through yet.
Speaking of going on and on, Letzi has got off on the right foot early. We gave him 10 seconds. He took 40. So there you go. The standard is set now. And I can tell you something. There has been a fair bit of rain in Melbourne overnight. Certainly the rain on my roof woke me up in the early hours of the morning. So the track condition, of course, is going to be all important. Let's go out there now, find out just exactly how the track is and how it's going to race today. And the gentlemen who'll be in the commentary box right throughout the week are with us once again. It's a delight to have them back. Dan Malicki and Gary Willits, good morning to you.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning to you and ladies and gentlemen. Well, the track rating is good, which is really the perfect rating that you would ever wish to ask for. It should keep every owner, every trainer, every jockey, every horse happy. The official rating good. The rail is in the true position. The penetrometer reading is 3.83 for the overall track. Now, for the inside and outside in the straight races, they're almost identical. The inside 3.79 and the outside of the track 3.78. A perfectly cushioned track, Gary Willits.
Yes, definitely, Danny. And I was out here Thursday morning. I thought the track was a little bit hard. We had 36 points of rain or 9 mils, and we got a southerly wind blowing here. It's going straight across here, and it's drying the track all the time. A few horses went down here this morning. I can just show you here where they've just marked the track a little bit here, Dan. It might just cut out. There's a little bit of there. You just put that back in, but this track honestly is perfect. The grass is a little bit shorter than what it normally is for a start of a carnival, but I think they'll run good times. Like, you'll get a horse like Chavog in that second race. He's going to burn this track.
What do you like in the Derby?
Oh, in the Derby, look, I like Sky Heights. I've got a sentimental leaning to him. He's related to a pretty good horse I used to ride, Battle Lights.
That's why I asked. OK, the track rating is good officially, Pete, which is important. There was a bit of rain around last night. Look, it hasn't affected the track negatively. In fact, it's probably cushioned it to make it the perfect track condition.
That's the best news we've had this morning. Dan, thank you very much to Dan Malicki and Gary Willits on the spot with the track report. Time now to check the all-important scratchings for AAMI Victoria Derby Day, and it begins with the Carbine Club Stakes, sponsored by William Inglis at 11.25. An important scratching here, and that is number 2, La Zagaletta, number 2 out of race 1. Race 2 on the card is the Shivers Regal at 12:05. And there are 3 scratchings here, so importantly, that leaves a field of only 6. Take out Catnip, number 3, number 7, Northwood Lady, and number 9, Emotional Success. 3, 7 and 9 out of race number 2. Third event is the Saab Quality at 12:45. There is a scratching in race 3, and that is number 17, Zabuan. Number 17 out of the third race. Race 4, the Hardy Brothers Classic at 1:25. And the scratching here is number 14, Kachina, 14 out of race 4. Race 5, the Qantas Wakeful Stakes is clear. That's at 2:05 Eastern Daylight Saving Time. And the big one, the AAMI Victoria Derby, is also clear. Race 7, the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes at 3:25. Scratching is the Geelong Cup winner, number 10, Ancient City. Race 8 is the Salinger Stakes as they fly up the straight 1200. No scratchings, full field of 11. And race 9, you can take out number 7, Razorblade, leaving a big field of 16 to start in the final event on the card. OK, let's take a look at the tape figures for the big one, the AAMI Victoria Derby. And what a great race it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very good betting race too. There are any number of chances here. Runaway is certain to come up. A pretty short-priced horse, and so too is Lawyer, and here they are now. Mossman at $10.90 represents pretty good value, I think, and we'll come to our preview of the Derby shortly. Arena, $10.30. Lawyer, $5 is a strong third pick. Bet on the Road, $46. Mithranda, $13. Sky Heights, $4.40. Runaway, $4.20 is the favourite. Hamlet, $43. We go over the page. Wellington, $17, also each way value. Leading Light, $19. Typhoon, $27. Wajib Star is at $47. Receptor, $65. Solidity, $104. And Stolly at $98. They're the opening figures, and we'll keep you up to date right throughout the day what tote punters are making of the AAMI Victoria Derby. We'll also be keeping you up to date today on what happens in the betting ring. Remember Foster's Melbourne Cup Day last year? There was a huge plunge on the eventual winner, Might and Power. And 5 years ago, there was an enormous plunge in the AAMI Victoria Derby. I wonder if we're going to see that sort of money changing hands today. The gentleman who is on the spot has flown across the country to be with us once again. Tim Gossage, good to have you back.
Thanks very much, Peter. Good to be back. And yes, who can forget what took place here last year on Tuesday in the Melbourne Cup? Might and Power, an enormous plunge, one man, and we know who that was, Kerry Packer, taking millions out with the result in the Melbourne Cup. The Derby and Open race, you've just gone through the totes. Well, I can tell you that the general feeling down here is it's going to be each of 2. Sky Heights and also Runaway should open up about 3-1 or 7-2 each way on the Derby. In the McKinnon Stakes, a lot of talk about Anis Mirabilis, hard name to say, could be a hard race to follow as well. Interesting enough, out there on the track, a lot of competition between jockeys and horses. I'm looking forward to be in the battle between the bookmakers and punters, and I'll bring all our viewers up to date through the next 4 days of every punch delivered here in the betting ring.
Tim Gossage, who'll be amongst the thick of the action here at Flemington on AAMI Victoria Derby Day and also right throughout the week. Well, as I said, the high rollers are here. The tables are coming out in the car park and the sun is coming out too. I can tell you there is a late scratching we've just been notified of in race 5, number 14, Haywire. Race 5, number 14, Haywire, the Clary Connors runner, is a late scratching in the Wakeful Stakes. And later on, they'll be running for a magnificent trophy. It's worth $5,000 in the AAMI Victoria Derby. A race worth $1 million in total. There it is. Wouldn't that sit proudly on the mantelpiece of the winning owner, who will join the names such as Farlap and Tulloch as a winner of the great race. We'll take a break and we'll be back to take a look at the early races on the opening day of the carnival in just a moment. Say some of those gentlemen that we just saw are going to figure prominently in this Melbourne Cup Carnival of 1998. Wherever you're watching around Australia or around the world, we welcome you back to Flemington. And it is quite a cool morning, but the crowd is going to be a huge one. I think we're going to expect in excess of 60,000 people here today, and they're going to see proceedings open up with the William Inglis Hardy Brothers Stakes, Carbine Club Stakes I should say, at 11:25, and La Zagaleta number 2 is the scratching, an important scratching from the first event, and a field of 12 to run. And Jen, looking at these horses, I think that this could hold up as one of the great form races of the spring. There are a lot of chances here.
Certainly is, Pete. A hard race to start off with, but I'm in love with the number 1 horse here, Sedation. I've watched him right through. I think he's got a lot of class about him at Flemington. He really put on a very good performance there, and last start he was 5 wide the entire way. He didn't have any cover, and he's got 58.5. That's the thing that is against this horse today, but he's got a lot of class. I think he'll get there.
Rich, first of all, why is La Zagaleta out?
Just a slight problem with his hoof this morning, so we didn't want to risk the horse. We've got a big opinion of him. We think he'll go on. I was going to tip him today, but now that he's scratched, I've got a huge respect for Sedation, number 1, but I think he's weighted right up to his best with 58. I'm going to go with number 8, LA Suez. Having only his 3rd start in a race, and you know, Bart Cummings with Raymond Shane, Billy Idol die to ride, and I think he'll get you away to a good start.
I think we'll be talking to him shortly. Let's see, what about a quick tip for the first?
I like Sedation. Interesting to note, Tech Form had it rated so far ahead, even with La Zagaleta in. Sedation for me.
And I've gone for LA Suez as well. Dan's gone for LA Suez. Gary Willits has gone for Sedation. This horse was very impressive. The form line through that race in Sydney normally holds up well for the Carbine, and Bart wouldn't be bringing him down here for nothing. Race 2 is the Shivers Regal. It's due at 5 minutes after 12, over the straight 1,200 metres. And we've got 3 scratchings here in a field of 6. But even though it is only a field of 6, Rich, I think it's an intriguing race. It certainly all revolves around Chevog.
Well, I agree with that. I think Chevog, who's my tip in the race, is the form horse. It's coming out of that Sydney form, which is very strong. I know he's got a duck egg next to his name from his last start, but form before that was great, so I'm sticking with Chevog.
Jennifer?
Well, I'm going to go for number 4, Jumalik, just at the odds here, Pete. I thought his effort last start was very good, showed a ton of speed, just got done on the line, and I've given him a good chance.
Jonathan?
I've gone for the 4 horse too, Pete. Behind Delirious, I thought it was a good run last time out. I think it'll be hard to beat.
So that's Jumalik for you, and I've gone for Chevog. I think he's the class horse of the race, and really, if he puts his best foot forward, I have no doubt that he'll win. But Jumalik is going to go very quickly, and it is going to be an interesting race, despite the fact we have only got 6 runners. Saab Quality is the 3rd. That's due at 12:45, and it really is going to have a big say in deciding the composition of the Melbourne Cup field. Our unicorn, Jen, well, so much has been written about him, so much has been spoken about him, his run in the Moonee Valley Cup, there's no doubt it was pretty ordinary.
It was, Pete. He also looked a little bit flat to me there, but Moonee Valley is a funny track. Sometimes horses don't handle Moonee Valley, so sometimes you have to forget that. Really, his runs prior to that were very good, so if you go on that, he's probably there with a chance. But I'm not tipping him. I'm actually going to go for number 4, Lisa's Game, because her form is sensational.
Well, let's have a look at Lisa's Game. If this horse was a 6-to-1 chance in the Caulfield Cup and ran second, and there she is in the blue colours, I think she'd be a clear-cut favourite here. But because she started 100-to-1 in the Caulfield Cup, Rich, everyone's saying, well, that must have been a fluke.
We see here Lisa's Game going to the eventual winner, Torfin's Melody, who's racing in the nose roll. And I think these two got a bit of an advantage because it was a slowly run race and they were able to sprint from the front. And so I'm moving away from Lisa's Game, but certainly a strong effort in that race.
So just to recap your tip, Jen?
Yes, Lisa's Game. I thought her Cranbourne Cup win was very good, and I think she'll go close.
And what have you moved away to?
I've gone for Il Don. I think Il Don's the one from the Peter Hayes stable with Greg Charles in the saddle.
Good Flemington horse too.
Yes, he is.
Let's see.
I like the top weight, Pete. I like our Unicorn. I think you must forgive him for that run at Moonee Valley.
OK, and I've gone for Lisa's Game, number 4, to win, and Dan Malicki also thinks Lisa's Game and Il Don, number 3, is the choice from Gary Willits in the third, and that is the Saab Quality. We'll continue our look through the races here at Flemington very shortly, but remember on Amy Victoria Derby Day 3 years ago, there was a 2-horse war planned in the Derby. That's what everyone said, between Nothing Like a Dane and Octagonal. And as it turns out, Gai Waterhouse was the triumphant trainer. Shane Dye was the triumphant rider. He might very well be the triumphant rider again today. He's got a wonderful ride in the Derby, Lawyer, and he is in the mounting yard, and I believe Mark Aston is with him. Morning, Mark.
Yes, good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Shane Lawyer, not a bad ride in the Derby.
Very good ride. He gets his chance to win a Derby today. He's on his way up. Every run he's had, his 3 runs on over the 2,000 metres, he's improved. Nice barrier at 7. He'll be going forward in the race, and his win in the Norman Robinson I thought was pretty good.
You and Clary Connors, I mean, who's going to dictate as to just exactly where you settle him in the race?
I will. Clary,
no question about that?
I don't think Clary will get a say.
You're getting on better with him?
He's okay. He understands me better.
Okay, and what about Tie the Knot, of course, in the 2,000 metre Louis Vuitton?
He's got a great chance. He's a lovely horse, this. I've got a very huge opinion of him. I don't think I've ridden a horse who can really sprint like he can for 200 metres in a race. And coming back to the 2,000 metres, it won't worry him. There's no doubt about that. The only problem with him today, he's drawn barrier 2 and he's going to get back, and there's not a lot of pace on. And I remember 2 starts ago on the Turnbull here, he couldn't get out. And I've just got to get him out at some stage of the race.
What did you make of his run in the Caulfield Cup?
I just felt he was just 1 run away from really hitting top strats. I felt that if he'd had a hard run in the Turnbull, he would have won.
All right, Shane, I think Pete's got a question for you.
Yep.
Yeah, Shane, I think Lawyer really is a good horse as far as the Derby is concerned, because so many horses in the Derby will over-race. One that you've ridden, Hamlet, he just won't settle in his races, but your horse, he just goes to sleep.
Yeah, well, he'll get a little bit keen for a furlong, but he'll drop the bit. Now, the other horse I could have rode, Runaway, he's got a great chance, there's no doubt about that, and he can win the race. But if they go slow and he pulls a bit hard, he can't win, and that was one of the reasons I elected to ride Lawyer.
Best of luck to you, Shane. I know we'll be talking to you many times throughout the day.
Thank you very much.
Shane Dye with Mark Aston in the mounting yard, talking about his potential Derby winning mount in Lawyer, and Tie the Knot also in the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes a little bit later on. Let's continue our look at the races here at Flemington. We're up to a race 4, the Hardy Brothers Classic at 1:25. Scratching here is number 14, Kachina, and we've got a field of 15 to run. And this is very tough.
It is a very tough race, Peter. Actually, there's a lot of tough races here today. I'm going to go with number 10 here, Quiet Style. I quite liked her effort last start. She was on the worst part of the track at Caulfield, on the inside led, and you do have to forgive her for that run. Her runs prior to that were very good.
Mr. Freedman?
I like Will Fly. I think Will Fly will fly. And number 2, Get the Money, with Craig Williams on board. He's a good young jockey on the way up. Got a bit of weight and a bit of a wide barrier, but I think she can overcome them.
Mr. Letts?
Yes, Peter, I like number 1, Spectrum. After she won the Goodwood Handicap, she was very impressive in Adelaide. She's only got a strike form today to win.
I've gone for Graceful Encounter right down the bottom. I was really taken with her win here at Flemington 2 runs ago. Then I don't think she was suited by the tighter track at Moonee Valley. I think she'll...
Had a few of them, haven't you?
Graceful Encounters? You said you weren't going to mention that. Kenny Anna is the selection from Dan Malicki, and as you can see, there are a few that we've come up with here, and that's a pretty good indicator that race 4 is a wide open race, and if you back the winner of the 4th, one thing is certain, and that is that you're going to get pretty good value. We're going to take a look at race 5 on the card now, and this is the Qantas Wakeful Stakes. It's one of the great lead-ups to the Oaks, and I think the Freedman stable is going to have a very big hand in the Oaks this year, especially with Rosa War. I thought her run was very impressive at her last outing, and she looks to me as though she's a filly who's going to get better as the races get longer, Rich.
Well, I agree with you, Peter, and we've got Rosa War on screen now. She led into the straight, she did it hard, she sat outside the leader for a long period of time, and here she is kicking away. And I think just here on the line, she's actually getting further in front. So a very strong effort from a filly on the up.
Did you like her performance, Jen?
Yes, I did. I thought she had a pretty good chance in the Oaks. She's very well bred and extremely well bred to get this type of distance as well. But I'll go for a roughie here. I just thought interest only might have a bit of a chance at pretty good odds.
It's going to be big odds.
It will be big odds, but I didn't mind its run last start because it didn't have a great deal of luck in the straight there, and its runs before have been quite good.
All right, tip yours, come on.
Yeah, Rosa War.
Okay. Johnny?
Yeah, Peter, I like the Rosa War. The only thing that worries me about Moonee Valley, it can be tricky sometimes with that form out of off that track.
Yeah.
And if she stands up today and wins today, well, she's going to win the Oaks.
Well, I think the good thing about it is you can go back to her run at Caulfield in the 1,000 Guineas, and that would have held up really well when she ran 5th. She's my choice. Dan likes Grand Archway, and Gary Willits likes Rosa War. So certainly the Freedman filly is the favourite one for race 5. And then we come to the big 3, and we'll be looking at them very shortly. The Amy Victoria Derby, the Louis Vuitton McKinnon Stakes, and also the Salinger Stakes. We're in Melbourne. It's a great time of the year to be here, and we'll be back to preview the first of our feature races on the other side of this break. No doubt that's going to be one of the busiest parts of Flemington Racecourse today. The bookmakers ring. As you can see, there's plenty of breeze. It's drying the track out from the rain. We've already heard from Dan Malicki and Gary Willits. The track is in perfect order, so we're set for a wonderful day of racing. Amy Victoria Derby Day here at Flemington. And one gentleman who's got a very big responsibility today is the man in charge of the stewards already. They've had a fair bit to do this carnival, with the Caulfield Cup having a protest to decide its outcome. He is Mr Des Gleeson, and he's in the mounting yard with Mark Aston.
Yes, thank you, Peter. You enjoy your job, Des?
Yes, I do, Mark, particularly at this time of year with the hype surrounding the carnivals and the best horses in the land and the best horses from overseas also for the Melbourne Cup. You couldn't help but enjoy it at this time of year.
Gee, it's a huge day, isn't it?
It is, yes. Derby Day is recognised in Australia as probably the best day's racing and recognised as one of the best days racing throughout the world.
Des, what will you tell the jockeys before the Melbourne Cup?
Well, the Melbourne Cup is the showpiece of Australian racing, and we'll be stressing upon the jockeys of the need to have the race run interference-free so that the best horse can win. And we'll be telling them that if they contravene the rules and cause interference through carelessness, that they can expect penalties of from 2 to 3 months, which are very severe penalties in anyone's terms, but we want the race run interference-free if possible.
OK, have a great day, and let's hope that it is an interference-free Melbourne Cup and Derby as well.
Thanks very much, Mark. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Des.
Des Gleeson, the man with one of the biggest tasks on the racetrack over the next 4 days. And no doubt, Des and his merry men will be keeping an eye on what happens in the run down to the first turn in the Amy Victoria Derby, because it can be decided in the first 200 metres.